各位听众朋友们，大家晚上好，我是海东。今天的主题讲座打造属于孩子自己的精彩故事，将由我来为大家主持。本次讲座的主办方是爱家网，爱家网是一个位于纽约服务华人家庭的新媒体。我们不定期的邀请各个领域的生活达人做讲座，分享他们的专业知识和生活经验，希望可以帮助华人家庭更好地融入美国社会。我们也十分欢迎在自己的领域中有所建树，而且愿意帮助他人的朋友们自荐，成为爱家网下一期的主题讲座嘉宾。欢迎大家关注爱家网的公众号北美爱家，获得下期讲座的信息。本次讲座的合作主办方是普西文教育 Perceiver Education。 普西文教育是一家位于洛杉矶的教育机构，由前南加州大学招生院副院长和前伯克利大学招生官领衔，为中国和美国的学生提供美国的升学规划和辅导，为每个家庭和孩子量身定制教育方案，帮助孩子们快乐自信地升入属于自己的学校。在讲座的最后，我会统一公布普西文教育和今晚嘉宾的联络信息。今天是爱家网主题讲座的第34期，爱家网和普西文教育携手，在10月份美东时间每个周日的晚上9点，向所有听众朋友们直播普西文名校招生官系列讲座，一共4期，每期的主题不同，独立成章，都是围绕着大学升学这个核心话题展开。讲座都为英文，由曾在美国名校担任过招生官的嘉宾们指导，欢迎家长邀请自己的孩子们一同收听学习。今晚是普西文名校招生官系列讲座的第4期，也是这个系列讲座的最后一期节目，打造属于孩子自己的精彩故事。今晚的嘉宾为 Robert 先生。 Robert 是前伯克利大学及 Berkeley 的招生官，以及前加州大学洛杉矶分校及 UCLA 的面试官。今晚的讲座将向13个爱家网教育群直播，预计有将近6500人可以收听到。今晚讲座的内容仅代表嘉宾本人的观点，不代表爱家网的立场。下面我们就把时间交给 Robert 做今晚的主题讲座，打造属于孩子自己的精彩故事。
Thanks, Haidong, for the nice introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Ju, and I'm the Chief Education Officer of Perceiver Education. Welcome back to our fourth and final seminar on college admissions. As you can remember from the first seminar, we discussed some trends and facts about the admissions process. The key takeaway there is that top universities in the U.S. use a holistic approach to admissions. As competition intensifies, they are going to put more emphasis on your special talents and passions. In other words, what else are you bringing to the school besides high scores? So how do you stand out amongst a sea of good students? The simple answer is, you have to tell a better story. To tell a better story starts with good content. It's hard to tell a strong story if you haven't done anything interesting or don't have a strong point of view, which is why doing extracurricular activities is so important, because it is through your activities that you can show your passions and interests, your talents and commitments. As these life experiences shape who you are as a person, it also strengthens your story and increases your chances of gaining acceptance to the most elite universities. Another key takeaway is that the college admissions process starts years before your 12th grade. It takes a long time to find your passions, master skills, and accomplish significant results. In the second seminar, I introduced using a systematic approach to develop a strategy and plan that helps you focus and optimize your potential. At Perceiver, we use a comprehensive, all-encompassing approach called the STEPS model to assess the students' strengths and interests and track their performances. You cannot just go randomly do a bunch of activities. So one of the most commonly asked questions I get is, how do I make the activities meaningful? In the third seminar, we discuss the purpose of getting involved in talent development activities and service projects, how the experience should help you become more responsible and mature, develop leadership skills, and demonstrate your ability to succeed at your chosen activities. So after you have reflected on your experiences and come up with the content for your story, now you have to think about how to tell it. You have one opportunity to make a strong impression and make the case for your acceptance. The first step is to consider the format and structure of the application, which consists of many components. To make it easier, you can group them into 3 major categories. The first is what your record says about you. The second is what you say about yourself. And the third is what others say about you. And together, they have to tell a coherent and compelling story about you that includes enough insights and details to make it come to life. So let's discuss these components in detail. Your record tells the admissions officer what you've done and accomplished. So they will review your transcript for how challenging your curriculum is, the grades you've received. They look at test reports like SAT and ACT scores. They see the activities and awards, etc. They can tell a powerful story about your work ethic and accomplishments, like taking a heavy load of AP courses. They can tell what your intellectual interests are. For example, if you have a concentration in STEM or literature, or have a talent for learning multiple foreign languages. The clubs you are involved with, and the awards that you've received. Since this is a complete record of what you've done over 4 years, there is no sense in stressing about it in your CV. To get the best results, you must start planning early and work hard at it all 4 years. Plan out when you will take your AP courses, which ones, and what prerequisites need to be completed prior. Know when the certain areas are good enough and move on, because you have to balance your time and your high school experience. But as important as this category is in providing the numbers and substance for your application, it doesn't provide the context. Just because you have good grades in a class doesn't mean you are deeply interested in that subject. Or what is your motivation for getting involved in an activity? Or what obstacles you've overcome? Or how you've grown and matured? That leads us to the second category, which is what you say about yourself. This is done through the essays, answering short questions, and interviews. This is your chance to introduce yourself in the best light. Tell them what you're made of and where you came from. How did your past experiences shape your perspective? Where are you going? What are your dreams and goals? What inspired them? You can provide insights and details to what you are thinking and feeling, not just what you did. What you did participating in this project or competition really meant to you. Do you enjoy the challenge or the camaraderie of being on a team? You have to talk about your intellectual interests and how you have pursued it. But this is not easy to do. I have read lots of essays that are beautifully written to tell a story but lack meaning and depth. People write about fond memories and recount events without any insights about themselves. Colleges don't ask you to write essays just to write a story to entertain them. They are looking for critical information about you, and you have to properly convey those insights. The essays need to answer the question that they are asking, as well as provide information about your character, thought process, values, and perspectives. Many people find this awkward because they are not accustomed to talking about themselves, about their thoughts and feelings, and about their abilities. Often people don't want to brag or are not comfortable sharing private information. they end up writing generic and shallow essays that doesn't say anything meaningful about them, and the admissions officer cannot formulate a strong impression about them. Unfortunately, there is no way around it. The essay has to be very personal. It has to dig deep to show what is really important to you, what you care about and why. What are your motivations for doing certain activities, and how did you grow from those experiences? It is not just talking about what you did, but why and what are the outcomes? What inspired your intellectual interests? To summarize, I will go over some common mistakes that I see in the essays. Try to avoid the following. Number 1, too much storytelling and not enough meaning. At the end of one of those essays, I usually think to myself, that's a nice story, but so what? What's the point? What's the message you're trying to convey? Number 2, don't write essays that are too generic or use cliches. Students sometimes talk about things that applies to everyone. For example, like an immigrant experience. Number 3, talk about other people or things instead of focus on themselves. Oftentimes, students will reference their parents, teachers, friends, but it's good to reference them, but do not focus too much on them or provide too much detail, because how your parents and your friends are is nice, but not really reflective of you. And the admissions officer is more interested in you, not them. Number 4, provide too much unnecessary details, but don't provide enough details about the main point. Oftentimes, I'll read essays that doesn't get to the main point until the last paragraph. Number 5, essays that don't answer the essay question or talk about unrelated or irrelevant things. One thing to note there is that oftentimes the essay questions have multiple parts, and you need to answer all parts, not just one. And finally, number 6, don't talk about things that are too trite or trivial, because they're not impressive. In other words, if you're expected to already be doing something, don't make doing that thing a big deal or like it's a big accomplishment. So instead of just talking about what not to do, here are some advice on what to do. Number 1, most of the essay questions ask about something that requires the students to analyze something. The student should use a format that makes an argument or logical analysis instead of using chronological order, which is the format for storytelling. Oftentimes, students are too caught up in trying to tell a story or paint a picture or describe a situation that they spend way too much time doing that and not conveying the point. And like I said, most of the essay questions require you to analyze and discuss and argue a point, not really just to tell a story. Number 2, do some research on the schools that you're applying to so that you can speak intelligently and meaningfully about the school and the major. I read a lot of essays where the student just repeats what they find on the website or say, I want to go to a top school because it has a good reputation or smart students, good professors, beautiful campus. These are all very generic, very shallow, and really doesn't distinguish you or why you should be going there. The school already knows that it is famous and has beautiful campus and great professors, etc. They don't need you to tell them that. And also, it is meaningless because a lot of schools are famous, have smart students and great professors and beautiful campus. So why do you select this one and not another top school? This is actually one of the hardest questions to answer, and students don't spend enough time doing research so that they can say something meaningful. There are many different ways to do research, not just go on the school's website, but look at other websites and discussion groups, talk to current students, alumni, professors, admissions office, and do research and talk to people with different perspectives. This is not only important for your application, but also to make sure that you are selecting the right school. You don't want to just select the school because of the name and don't know anything about it, because you might end up going there and not liking it, or turns out it's not what you expect. So it's better to do the upfront research, really understand the culture and style of the school, how that matches with your learning style and your preferences, to make sure that it's a good fit. Number 3, before you write the essay, figure out what points you want to make so that those points are clear and concise. A good habit is to state your main points and answer the questions up front, towards the beginning of the essay, not the end. I read too many essays where the main point is at the very last paragraph, literally in the last sentence or two, or the main point is buried somewhere in a long paragraph in the middle. Admissions officers don't like to search for your main point or guess what you're trying to say. You have to be direct and just say it. Don't make them wait too long to get to the main point, because they might lose interest or patience and never get to it. There are a lot of students who indirectly say something or simply imply something, thinking that the reader will automatically get it. The advice is never assume that the admissions officer will figure it out or knows what you mean, even though you never come out and say it. The admissions officer can only go by what you tell them. They don't make assumptions or predictions or guess. The writer has to assume that the admissions officers don't know any background information about you or your events. So make sure every essay has enough details so that the reader knows what you're talking about and everything is contained within the essay. Number 5, make choices on what is important and what not to include, because there is a word limit and you cannot say everything. So you have to strategically plan out what to say given the words that you are allowed. And finally, try to practice before you write the real thing. After all, if you were doing a play, you wouldn't perform it the first time in front of an audience. Obviously, you would want to do some rehearsals before you do the real thing. So same thing here. Don't write the essay for the first time for real. Try to practice. At Perceiver, we have classes as well as mentoring that specifically teaches students how to write college essays and prepare for the interviews. The more you prepare and practice, the better you'll get. So now it brings us to the third component of what others say about you. It's also extremely important in completing the picture on who you really are. This is usually in the form of recommendation letters and interview notes. You have to make sure what you say and what your recommenders say are consistent. It is not enough for you to say good things about yourself, but other people who know you or have met you also have to have the same impression. It is very important to pick good recommenders who really know you and not just ask people with a nice title to write the letter. If they don't actually know you, because then they'll write generic and general letters, which are not very meaningful. The letters, like your essay, should be very personal and full of details and examples. So for those younger students who still have time, get to know your teachers now by interacting more with them. Don't just leave it up to chance, but influence what they say by providing them with the experiences that they can talk about. Credible recommenders who have known you for a long time are especially good. So start early and develop those long-term, multiple-year relationships so that they can talk about how they have watched you grown and develop certain skills. The key here is that although you don't directly write the letters, but you can think about what you want your recommenders to say and take actions to influence what is in the content. For example, if you want your teacher to say that you are passionate about a certain subject and are intellectually curious, then go ask her a lot of questions about it and let her know what kind of research you are doing. If you want her to say you are responsible, then take the initiative to get things done around the school. The more examples you can provide to the recommender, the stronger the letter will be. Besides being a great student and someone with great awards and accomplishments, universities also want someone who is likable and works well with others. Admissions officers are also looking for inputs from your recommenders and interviewer to evaluate whether you have good social skills and a caring personality. At the university, a lot of work, including class projects and research, are done in teams, so they want to make sure you can get along with other people. In the interview, in addition to evaluating your critical thinking and communication skills, they are also evaluating your personality. It is important to prepare by practicing how to answer the questions, but also how you carry yourself. Your posture and body language, your appearance makes a big difference. If you make eye contact and smile a lot, you will come across as confident and friendly. So no matter what your plan is or which dream school you are applying to, early planning and preparation will increase your chances of getting accepted. Think of the end result and work backwards to determine what you need to do, how much time you have, and how much resources you have, and how you want to demonstrate your success. But for those of you who are already in the 12th grade, then think about how you want to present yourself. What is your key message? And then think about how you can utilize the application to show it loud and clear. What does your record demonstrate? How do you add more details and insights through your essays and interview? How do you select and influence your recommenders? At the end, all the pieces of the application should come together to provide a very focused and convincing message that you will be a good addition to this university. Okay, and that's all for my prepared speech. Thank you for listening. And to all the students out there who are applying, good luck to you. And now I'll open it up to questions.
非常感谢 Robert 为大家进行的升学指导。下面的时间，大家可以通过文字进行提问。提问时，请使用下面的指令。没有使用正确指令的问题，将可能无法通知主持人安排作答。听众朋友们，如果可以用英文提问，请直接用英文提问；如果不方便使用英文，也可以用中文提问。爱家网的义工将尽量准确地将问题翻译为英文。在大家准备提交问题的时候，我也借此机会向大家宣布，普西文教育现在推出美国名校升学 essay 文书辅导班，提供20节高级写作课程，小班授课，由前招生官亲自指导，写出更好的 essay。这个课程目前为爱家网的听众朋友们提供10%的优惠价格，优惠仅限1个月内报名的朋友们。另外 ，Robert 也同意为爱家网的听众朋友们提供线上的1对1咨询，通过爱家网报名也有优惠。有兴趣的朋友们可以查看我在讲座最后公布的报名方式。
Okay, so our first question says, in terms of the timeline, when would you suggest students start to plan the essay? The answer is the earlier the better, obviously. So at Perceiver, we offer a essay writing class for college essays in the 11th grade. That is when we go through different essay questions from different colleges, help them understand what the question is really asking, help them break the questions apart to analyze their own stories, and then help them create outlines and structure to write them. So I would suggest starting in 11th grade. The problem is if you start too early, you haven't done a lot of meaningful things that you will be doing. So it's good to wait until the 11th grade to start thinking and planning it out. And then through, I would say, the end of 11th grade and summer is when you start to really formulate the different ideas and the different essay questions on the ones that reflect your personality and your qualities best. The next question says, my daughter is a freshman. Can we ask you to make a customized plan and go through the whole process of application? The answer is yes, absolutely. So we like to work with students starting in freshman year. The process starts with an assessment where we try to understand the students' interests, preferences, talents, skills, everything about their situation. And then from there, we develop a detailed plan for each of the 4 years of high school, as well as provide a mentor to guide them through all of the different activities, what they're supposed to be looking out for, skills to develop, and how to strengthen their leadership abilities. Then we help them write the application. Again, our emphasis is always on preparation, because the earlier and better you prepare and having a plan and being focused, the better the application experience will be. Many students, when they start thinking about application in the 12th grade year, they get very stressed out because they realize they haven't done this, they haven't done that, they haven't thought about this. And so it seems overwhelming, the amount of work that they have to do in addition to taking the SAT and AP classes and all that. So the earlier you start, the more you can spread that out, and the more time you have to think and prepare, then the less stressful the application becomes. The next question states, my child is a good student, but not a superstar with tons of awards. Is it still possible for him to shine in his college application? Any tips? The answer is yes. The college application is a very personal reflection of you, right? So everybody have something that they like, or talents or strengths that they can demonstrate. And it's just a matter of how we demonstrate it and how you want to highlight it. So again, each person is different and the situations are different, but everyone can talk about something good about themselves. And I think it just takes some time and some digging to come up with what that is. So if your child is a good student, then you have to be creative in terms of what he is good at, and then how do we bring that out? The next question says, I heard some people start preparing for college from younger age, like before high school. What exactly do they prepare? Again, that's a very good question. The universities will mostly evaluate what you've done in high school, but in order to be good at what you're doing, you have to have a good foundation. And so if you're only starting in high school, then you're just a beginner. So in order to be at the advanced stages of whatever activities or academic subjects, you have to start much earlier. So for example, in order to be on a high school team, you have to have started playing sports or the activity well ahead of time to build the foundation and the skills so that when you get to high school, you can compete. There are also people that take the SAT and ACT early. And there's an advantage in just being familiar with it. So for example, everyone knows that you take the PSAT to prepare for the SAT. But since the PSAT is also the test that is used for the National Merit Scholarship, the earlier you prepared, then by the time you do take the PSAT, you will be ahead of everyone else. Some people have special interests or talents in specific academic areas. And so some of that preparation can be to build a stronger foundation before you get to high school. Remember, there is not any one thing that you need to do or any one path to get to a good university. You have to kind of create your own path. You have to be creative. And you have to find the way to do it that best reflects your personality. And so the earlier you start down that path, the better off you will be. And there's no actual age as to when you start the path. But if you do know, then of course you don't have to wait until high school. You can do it at any time. There's no age limit. The next question says, would you share a general timeline when to start visiting colleges, when to start preparing for SAT, etc.? Again, I think the earlier you start, the better. There's no limit to when you can start, right? So anytime in high school that you can find time, you can start visiting colleges, start looking at materials, whether it's online or elsewhere. Why do you have to wait until the 12th grade? Why not start 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade? So you can only visit so many schools in a year because most people visit schools during vacation time. Actually, it's better to visit schools during the school year while the school is in session, and you're not just going on campus to see the buildings, but actually students. Besides visiting schools, like I said, also I would really recommend talking to people from different schools, whether it's professors, students, or alumni, because the more people you talk to, the more perspective you get. So don't wait to the last minute. Don't wait to 12th grade. Start anytime in high school is fine. And I would say at a minimum, start 10th or 11th grade. When it comes to studying for the SAT, I mean, if you think about it, the SAT really tests your math only up to geometry and a little bit in trigonometry, which most people take by the time they're in 10th grade. So again, you don't have to wait until 11th or 12th grade to prepare and take the SAT. I think you can start much earlier, especially for people whose math is much more advanced than their grade level. Similarly, the verbal section doesn't require you to be in the 11th or 12th grade to study and take it. So the more you practice and the earlier you start, the more you'll be comfortable with it when you actually take the test, and you can do much better. So don't wait till the last minute right before you take it in your 11th or 12th grade year before you start studying. There's no reason not to start studying earlier. And in terms of the content that I was talking about for your applications, you should be thinking about those as soon as you step foot into high school, right? What kind of clubs do I want to get involved with? And then have a plan, not just go to the meetings of the club, but how do I eventually become president of the club? Or if the club doesn't exist, how do we start one? Or what other activities we can do? Because in the beginning, when you start, you always start with participating. Then you take on more responsibility. Then you may take on a leadership role, such as being an officer. So this is not something you just do again at the 11th or 12th grade. You can do as early as 9th or 10th grade, because it takes time to develop skills. It takes time to develop relationships, and it's good to have that time. So when we look at creating a timeline for a student, we really try to look at their situation, how advanced of a student they are in terms of academic. How can we spread out the load so that they don't have to do everything all at once in the 11th or 12th grade? We look at their interests and what they can do to develop that over time. and we usually require time to do that. We look at what skills they need to strengthen their leadership and communications abilities. And again, we spread that out through a series of life coaching classes that we have. And again, it takes time to build leadership. And so it takes a lot of practice. And the timeline that we prepare usually spans over multiple years. And my last comment on this is that if choosing the right college is one of the biggest decisions in a student's life, then the student or the parent should take responsibility to try to learn as much about the college and the admissions process, as well as what are the requirements, how are they going to be evaluated, what are the things that they are looking for, so that you know that before, like in 9th grade, when you have a chance to plan out and take all the right actions throughout high school to be able to satisfy that. So that is actually the smart, proactive way to go. Instead of waiting until 11th grade or 12th grade and not know what the requirements are, and then scramble to meet those requirements.
好的，谢谢大家的积极提问。不过今天的讲座时间也差不多到了，再次感谢 Robert 抽出宝贵的时间为大家提供升学指导。为了更好的和家长们互动，我们建立了普西文教育咨询群，对普西文教育所提供的升学指导服务有兴趣的家长朋友们，欢迎入群咨询。之前曾经提到的美国名校升学 essay 文书辅导班和由前招生官们亲自指导小班上课，爱家网的听众朋友们报名可以得到10%的价格优惠。Robert 也为爱家网的听众朋友们提供线上的1对1咨询，通过爱家网报名也有25%的优惠。这两个福利都仅限于2周内报名的朋友们，有兴趣的朋友们欢迎扫码海报进入普西文教育咨询群报名。在我结束今天的节目之前，我也想借这个机会特别感谢普西文教育团队为爱家网听众朋友们精心打造的这一期普西文名校招生系列讲座的节目。听众朋友们收听到的是每周1次，一共4期的升学讲座，但爱家网和普西文教育团队为了促成这个系列讲座，并最大程度的为听众朋友们提供实际的帮助，前后的准备工作也有好几个月的时间。除了在目前出现的 Alex 和 Robert 2位前招生官们，幕后还有很多的工作人员的积极协调，并在普西文教育群耐心服务家长们的各种需求。而 Robert 在为家长和孩子们做咨询之前，都会花上大量的时间去做准备工作。30分钟的咨询往往可能需要花费4-5个小时去熟悉和了解孩子们的情况，这充分保证了咨询的高质量。我们和普西文教育的这次合作十分愉快，因为我们觉得他们做事专业认真，而且待人真诚。我们期待以后有机会继续邀请 Alex 和 Robert 回来帮助大家，也不排除邀请他们来纽约做线下的讲座或活动。爱家网一直致力于帮助父母们挖掘优质的教育资源，我们十分乐意为普西文教育这样高质量的升学机构提供背书。爱家网也会尽快将今晚的讲座录音和文字记录整理出来，方便大家播放和转发。如果有义工愿意帮忙整理文字记录，也请和我或者周安联系。今天的节目就结束了，谢谢各位听众朋友们的参与，祝大家晚安，我们下期节目再见。